Welcome to his short word channel.
You shall indeed know the truth, and it shall set you free.
And we create nothing but the truth.
And you can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth.
So kindly hit that subscribe button and embrace the truth.
God spoke to Moses in Exodus chapter 3 verse number 14. Exodus chapter 3 verse number 14. And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. I am has sent me unto you. In the Hebrew, the word I am is the word Yehovah or Jehovah. It means I will become. It means I can become, or I will be what I will be. He identified himself as the I am. Jehovah, I will be what I will be. You notice that Jesus in the four Gospels, arguably, the most frequent phrase he used about himself is the fact that I am this. I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. I am the bread of life. I am the water of life. He that drinketh the water that I shall give, the water shall be in him a well of water, springing up to everlasting life. I am the resurrection. I am the life. He knew who he was. I am, I am, I am. He had no issue with identity. He knew his identity. Jesus was tempted by the devil. Satan showed up in Matthew chapter 4 and said to Jesus, because in Matthew chapter 3 the heavens opened and a voice came out of heaven, this is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased, right there in River Jordan. Then in Matthew chapter 4, after that announcement, Satan sneaked in and said to Jesus, if you are the Son of God. He threw a doubt on his identity. If you are a son of God, command that these stones be made bread. Jesus didn't address the issue of if you are, because it was not on a debating table. He left that aside and said, let's deal with bread. Let's deal with stone. It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, because the issue is not the issue of if I am. I know I am. And because I know I am, I don't have to prove anything. But let's deal with the temptation issue. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. Why did Satan tempt Jesus beginning from the issue of identity? Because identity is everything. Identity is everything. If you don't know who you are, you cannot function in the authority that is yours. If you don't know who you are, you cannot walk in the reality of your privileges and rights. If you don't know who you are, you cannot function in the dominion that is yours. If you don't know who you are, you cannot cast out demons and trample over serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the devil. You cannot. That's why when the seven sons of Sceva, wanted to cast out demons, they said, oh, you unclean spirit, come out in the name of that man that Paul used to preach. And the demons said to them, Jesus we know and Paul we know, identify yourselves. Who are you? They didn't know who they were, so demons didn't obey them. Rather, the demons came out and gave them the beating of their lives, because they didn't know who they were. The first time man was tempted in the Garden of Eden, the first temptation was a temptation of identity. Has God said you shouldn't eat of this tree? God knows. that the day you eat of it, you shall be like him. An issue of identity. An issue of identity. Man fell in the place of identity. And Satan thought because the first Adam died or fell in the place of identity, he could harass the second Adam in the place of identity. If you are the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. Identity is critical when it comes to living your life on earth and the victory that Christ has provided. Please pay attention. That's why Jesus will go around and say, I and my Father are one. And at a point they felt like he was bragging. They said to him, how can you, being a man, make yourself God? John 10:30-34. John chapter 10 verse 30-34. I and my Father are one. Next verse. Then the Jews took up stones again to stone him. Jesus answered them, many good works have I showed you from my Father. For which of these works do you stone me? The Jews answered him, saying, for a good work we stone thee not, but for blasphemy, and because that thou, being a man, makest thyself God. You know, Jesus was not persecuted for miracles. He was not persecuted for signs and wonders. He was persecuted for what he said about himself. He was persecuted for what he said about himself. In fact, there was a time he said, why do you persecute me? Is it for the work's sake? They said, no. No. We love the things you do for us, the miracles, the signs and wonders. But that thou, a man, makest thyself God. So there's a wider truth, and that's why when you do evangelism, it's not about rules and regulations. When a child is born, one of the fundamentals of parenting is for the child to identify himself. So you give the child a name. The moment a baby is born, the first thing the parents do is to pronounce a name on that child. Your name is your identity. They give the child an identity. No child is born and allowed to just go like that. So people everywhere will say, you there, come. You there. Anybody can be you there. Names are given for identification. Am I communicating at all? Who are you? It's not enough to say I'm a human being. But who are you, by the way? So we want to do a study, a part 2 or a season 2 study on the Father and his family. You know, my teachings are in seasons. We only pause, we don't finish. The Father and his family. The season 2 of that teaching. So you can identify yourself. How can you say, like that guy when he was rebuking the demons with the 7 sons of Sceva, how can you say, I come to you in the name of Jesus whom Paul preached? He mentioned 2 names, Jesus and Paul. So they said, Jesus we know, Paul we know. But who are you? You've got to know who you are to keep the devil where he belongs. You've got to know who you are to keep the devil where he belongs. Nothing is important as knowing who you are. Or else, you will keep coming out for every altar call under the sun. Someone was trying to get a job. He didn't get the job. Then he went to those deliverance experts. They said to him, is that your name? There's a covenant behind your name that hinders you from getting a job. Then he went to a pastor friend of mine. And the pastor friend of mine asked him, which company did you go to that denied you the job that you're looking for deliverance for? And he mentioned the name of the company, and my pastor friend told him, the CEO, the owner of that company is your namesake. So if there's a covenant behind your name, it should affect the other person not to have even been able to own a company. Then the guy said, I never thought like that. He said, it's always important to think like that.
Dear brethren, I hope you are blessed.
Until next time, bye.